Mace Windu, dead or alive? We don't know. We thought we knew, but now we don't know. But we do know that Samuel L. Jackson wants him to very much be alive, but it's not up to him. It's also not up to us, but we're still going to talk about it and give our takes. Welcome, everybody. This is the Resistance Broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our discussion show. I'm John. If you're new to the show, nice to meet you. Also with me, Lacey and James. So this is not new to Star Wars. We're going to talk about it later in our main discussion. We obviously have stuff we're going to get into beforehand, but man, Star Wars is really into undeading people, James.
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy, honestly. We'll get into it a little bit later, but if you start looking at all the people who actually have been kind of considered dead and then brought back to life, it's not as many as you might think.
No, right. Yeah. Lacey, if you were a Star Wars character and died, would you be happy if they were like, guess what, you're not dead? Or would you be like,
yeah, paycheck. Give me that money. Absolutely.
Oh,
who would say no to I don't want to
saying.
come back? I mean, except Adam
from
Driver.
From an actor's perspective, you're saying.
Adam Driver's like, nah, I'm dead.
I was saying if you were a character and had like this big, huge death, and I guess we'll get into it later, but just point blank, if you had a big, huge death, they'd be like, guess what? You're not dead. Would you be like, I want the death? Or would you be like, bring me back?
Bring me back.
All right.
Always.
She's back, baby. All right. Something else is back, baby, and James is going to tell us exactly what that is.
I fear nothing, for all this, as the Force wills it.
The thing that is back is Will of the Force. And as we do every week, before we really get into Will of the Force, we like to take a second to talk about Patreon. And that is, if you're listening to this, you're part of the Resistance, right? We would hope that you might consider possibly supporting TRB by joining our Patreon, because we work really hard on it, to be honest with you. Everything we do is just by the three of us. So the support really allows us to keep doing the show and keep growing and adding to what we've been doing in the past. So it's easy to join. If you want to go over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast, you can check out the tiers, which just start at $2. That's it. Like the Better Off Dead gif. $2, right? The kid with the newspapers. Love it. I saw it on Twitter recently and I was like, I forgot about that movie.
All I think about
I
is the Geico commercial where he's like, I got you $1. So it's like that, but he's got $2 on the fish hook.
Yeah.
Right.
Love the $2, but just $2 a month immediately grants you access to all the bonus episodes and videos and the commentaries that we've done on all the movies thus far. There's so much more that's going on there, though. So if you want to check it out, you can head over there and subscribe or get involved and keep moving up the ranks if you feel you want to. To our current, past, and future supporters on Patreon, from the three of us, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get into Will of the Force, though. This is a fan favorite segment, and part of that is because the fans, you guys, the listeners, can be involved. Patreon support is involved here as they get to submit questions and get a chance to be on the show. So our first one is from Commander Sydney Squared. Commander Sydney Squared asked this question. They wanted to know, will we visit a Jedi Temple in the Kenobi series? Lacey, I'm starting with you on this one. What are your thoughts on the possibility of us going to a Jedi Temple in this 6-episode run?
I want to say yes because I'd like to see it, but I'm going to say no because I think I keep going back to this. Like, there's so much that's got to go on in these 6 episodes that I don't know why he would need to go to a Jedi Temple. I think that, he's got to deal with the Inquisitors. He's got to deal with Vader. He's got to help Luke and all this other stuff. Why would he head to a temple? And I can't really think of a logical explanation to why. So I'm going to say no.
All right, John, what are your thoughts?
I think that the temple's coming to him, because I think with Qui-Gon visiting him is sort of that experience, and who knows, maybe even Yoda. But I also think they want to be cautious, especially, we touched on this a bit Monday about, the Kenobi series being too familiar to other stories they're telling. Them being cautious with, the noble Jedi, getting older and trying to get back to roots and stuff, a little too familiar with Luke and Last Jedi type stuff. So I think they're going to stay away from that realm and keep Obi-Wan on his singular mission, which is got to protect these kids. I don't need to learn about what it is to be a Jedi. I don't need to learn the Force. I got all that. I'm reaching the end of the line here, and I have one mission, and it's not going back to school and connecting with the history of the Jedi. It's protecting these kids. I have the tools. Now it's just believing again, re-engaging, and protecting these kids. So I'm going to say no.
Yep. Actually, I'm with both of you for all of those exact reasons that you guys said. Like, I think it's a 6-run series. They're trying to keep it short and sweet. As cool as it would be to see him go and revisit, I feel like that's sidestepping. We have the volume and sets for television. As much as you want it to be this big thing, it still is television production, and they're trying to stay on a budget. So it looks like our big pieces are going to be Tatooine and this other city. So adding like a third location, because there's no Jedi Temple at Tatooine, let's just assume. And I don't know, a Jedi Temple in a big populated city type thing, maybe, I guess, but it doesn't really feel the vibe, if you will. Mm-hmm. So I don't see a Jedi Temple being on either one of those two places. So my thoughts are, you already got the cave, you already got peaceful time for him to be alone. He's a Jedi master, like literally on the council. Like, I don't know why going back to the temple would have anything to do with John. You said that, like, you don't need to go back to school. Like, I think it all adds up as there wouldn't need to be one. Unless of course there's like another Jedi involved somehow. I don't know. We'll see. But, but that's that. That's a good one. I'm curious. We got another Will the Force question, though, and this one again is coming from another patron of ours, actually a new patron at the commander level, new commander, Scott Lynch. Scott, if you're listening right now, you're probably thinking like, holy crap, my question. They just said my name. I've been listening now. I don't know.
Dude, but thank you and welcome, Scott.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
All right, Scott wanted to ask the question, will we see any of these characters from the original trilogy in the Kenobi series? So he gave the list. John, you're going first, so listen closely. Are any of these characters showing up? Han, Chewie, Leia, Lando, R2, or C3PO? Anyone? Thinking.
Leia.
Yes. And
that's it.
All right. Leia, and that's it. Any particular reason? No Han, no Chewie, no make Solo.
Han and Chewie would be Alden, and Jonas is Chewie. That would be a little dicey because, Obi-Wan meets them for the first time, and at Mos Eisley it would be very weird if they were in it. And Lando doesn't make sense at all, in my opinion, for this. And R2 and C3PO would be like, the Rogue One thing, like, oh, there they are, But I hope they don't do that, because again, I don't remember ever owning a droid. Like, that's already hard to believe now because of the prequels. If they start mixing them in here, even if it's not on screen with Kenobi, it's just like, we don't need that, guys. Like, they're with Captain Antilles right now. Like, it's okay. We'll see them in 9 years.
Well, he's telling the truth from a certain point of view.
Yeah. Lacey, thoughts on...
No one's ever really gone,
on any of these original trilogy characters showing up in Kenobi?
I'm going to say Leia, R2-D2, and C3PO.
Oh my God.
I think Leia is definitely showing up because we saw Luke, and I don't think you can have Luke in the show without Leia at some point, because they're going to want to show both of the twins. I think R2 and C3PO, like John said, actually is the reason why I think they're going to do it, is it's an easy thing to have them either off to the side or in the background or something that makes fans go, oh my gosh, look who it is. And I think it's so easy to do. They don't need specific people to do it. And they've already used R2-D2 in The Mandalorian. And Jon Favreau had talked about how excited he was to see him. I could just see that ringing true in this story as well. Like, people just love R2-D2.
I'm also gonna go Leia. I think I'm a little bit between. I don't think they're going to do this, but if they were going to wink and nod at anybody, I kind of think the Han and Chewie thing might make sense. Because not that he has any sort of chat with them, but I think at some point in one of these shows, if they were just there, they turn around, or they had a line almost like it's a punchline thing, I think it could help in a way, like kind of engage, like how did fans feel about that? And that could weigh future opinions on, we have these people, a little bit of time has passed, it's a slight connection, but there's also the fear too that like they want this show to be so solid, they don't want to rock it by anybody being like, it would have been a good episode if they didn't add stupid Solo in there, you know, or whatever. And so maybe they don't rock the boat. So that's why I'm sticking with just Leia, but I think if they were going to add somebody in the background, that would be.
And this takes place a year after Solo, where they'll have been working for Jabba on Tatooine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Imagine you see like the Falcon, just the Falcon, in like at Anchorhead or something.
Yeah, be great.
Just for a
All right,
second.
let's move on to the next one. We got a general actually who asked the question: will we see any Oh, whoa, hold on, John. You think I'm not going to say who this was?
Who is it?
All right, John. It was General Christian Morales. I was going to save it till the end of the question, but Christian wanted to know, will we see any version of the Purge Trooper in the Kenobi series? Now, I don't know how involved everybody is in the games and stuff, but this is a character from Jedi Fallen Order, a new type of trooper that was more specifically kind of a Jedi killing stormtrooper, not like a death trooper who could kill anybody on some elite level, but these were for kind of Jedi killing stormtroopers. So kind of cool. Any chance we're going to see these in the Kenobi series, Lacey?
I'm going to say yes. I think there is a definite tie-in with Jedi Fallen Order with the Inquisitors and everything. I think there are definitely going to be calls to that game. I think this is an easy kind of bet that we'll see elements of that game in this series with everything else that's going on.
Are you booking it?
I wouldn't book it. That's your thing. I don't want to take that from you. But I would say hands down, I believe that this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, John, any chance that the Purge Troopers from Fallen Order show up in Kenobi?
Well, the Purge Troopers are hands down a wonderful looking trooper. Let me just say that. Secondly, I agree with Lacey. I think there is a sort of parallel level of connectivity between that game and the upcoming Kenobi series. Cal Kestis, very interesting, because a lot of people are saying, like, you know, we got the actor. He's, you know, he obviously looks like the character because they based the character on him. Mm-hmm. That would be pretty cool. But and they like these troopers, man. Like, I'm surprised we haven't seen action figures come out for this yet. Unless they haven't, I missed it. Did they make Purge Trooper figures?
I don't remember, and I apologize.
I'll look it up
because they just have so many trooper figures that come out.
But you know how it's always like the next
they
trooper.
Have,
like,
yes. That was one of the recent ones they came out with. Yes.
Okay, so they like pushing those. So I'm gonna say yeah. It seems like it's a good fit. So I think that's a good question, Christian. Though.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say no to this, and the reason I was going to say no, which you have swayed me now, and I will just ride the positivity into blind wrongness. But my thought was that if they're ever going to make a live action property or put a lot of money into something and they're doing a Stormtrooper, they're probably going to just do a new one. They're probably going to just make a new trooper for this thing and introduce it, and then let fans be like, but I thought the Purge Troopers were like the Jedi killing troopers, and then
you mean
let
like Sith troopers?
Yeah, exactly. Like, let the story group like figure it out. But they'll probably just introduce a new Stormtrooper that is some sort of elite one that could go up against a Jedi or something, and the fans will question it. But I like the positivity what you guys are putting out, that you think there's that they would say, no, let's bring this to live action. This is a cool element. Let's bring it in. Let's do their costumes exactly like it and realize those characters in live action. So I'm going to say yes, they will do it. And yes, that is a good question. And side note, I really hope they do the surprise Cal Kestis thing. I think
they might, James. I was thinking of you when people keep talking about it.
If there's any chance that, like, if he's going to show up in live action, it would probably be like around here, unless they want to like wait I don't know until he's like older, way older, but then it just starts to become like a question. I don't know.
Right,
and I don't,
right.
I think like the games are never going to keep getting bigger. You're not going to it's not going to be like Call of Duty numbers or something. It's already pretty big, but it's not like it's going to get much bigger. So if there's an opportunity to do it, I say do it while he looks like the character and it's right around the time frame. It involves Jedi, could get fans talking. I don't know. I think go for it. I hope that happens. Be a great surprise. We got one other question though, from one of our patrons. This time it's coming from Commander Mark at Lacey.
The kind of vacants.
Yes, and Commander Mark wanted to know, did we decide on this? Reva? Have we heard it spoken?
Rava?
No.
I think it's Reva, but...
All right, will Reva, the third sister, see some kind of redemption or change of heart in the Kenobi series? John, what do you think?
No.
No?
I'm so... can we just let bad guys be bad guys once, maybe? Jeez Louise.
They did it once, Darth Vader, and then that was it. No, they didn't.
They did.
Palpatine.
No, and I'm not trying to be dismissive about it. I think it's a great question. Mark always asks great questions. That's why he always gets on this damn show.
Mark at the kind of vacants.
But it's just, I would like to see this character be ruthless and not it be one of those turn on like what Kylo Ren did to Snoke sort of thing, like sort of turn on your own, and then we see Inquisitors fighting Inquisitors. Like I just want Kenobi to be the hero and these people to be horrible and him to take them down. Good versus evil. Let's bring it back to the basics. Give me good villains. Give me good villains, Star Wars, and don't kill them immediately. I know it's gonna be tough with these because we don't see the Inquisitors around during the original trilogy, but just give me play them out as villains. That's all I'm gonna say. We've had a lot of redemption stories in Star Wars, a lot. Just give me some. Let's build some villains up here.
Lacey, your thoughts on Reva?
I'm saying
McEntire.
Reva because otherwise it sounds like Reba, so I can't.
Yeah.
And now someone needs to Photoshop Reba's head, not an
exactly.
Inquisitor.
And Reva's like Revan without the N, so that makes sense.
Right.
Oh yeah. So thoughts on this character being redeemed or staying bad? What's going on? Mark wants to know.
I hope she stays bad, and I think she will. I mean, in the trailer, it appears that she's hanging someone to death. So I can't imagine someone coming back from that. Although we see Kylo Ren and Darth Vader.
I was gonna say, what are you saying? What was that? None of my business.
But I agree with John 100% that I think we need more Krennics. We need more ruthless bad guys that are just bad. Moff Gideons, bad guys that just do bad things. Because while Star Wars, one of the themes about it that I love and I connected with from the beginning was all the hero characters, it's about doing what's right and fighting for what you believe in. They would have nothing to fight for and nothing to believe in on the good side if there wasn't a dark side to balance it out. Like, that's what the series is about. So we need more bad guys. I'm hoping Reva stays bad.
Mm-hmm. So,
and then dies a terrible death to make the payoff that much better.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, although this question now scares me because I do think they're gonna do this.
To her specifically, or to all of them?
There's a couple reasons I'm thinking of it, and number one,
John.
Yeah,
the hat. As soon as he puts the hat on his face, I don't want to see it.
No, go ahead.
There's a couple reasons. I think there's a particular reason why this character doesn't have like the face mask and stuff. Now, I know that's a weak one because the fifth brother and the other Inquisitor and also the Grand Inquisitor all don't have masks, but typically they do have masks. So, I don't mean to say typically, but I don't know. I just get the vibe that they're you want to see her face. So there's that too. The other thing too is we know the fifth brother is all bad, and we know that the Grand Inquisitor is all bad. So if they want to tell this story of like maybe not all of the Inquisitors are bad, she got involved for this reason or another, I think that kind of makes sense. The only part that kind of makes me think the other way is they did kind of tell that story in Fallen Order.
Right.
They humanized one of the Inquisitors there. So unless they're kind of revisiting that story or bringing it up, then I think it makes sense that they could do this. And they could still have they could have the Grand Inquisitor be the big, bad, scary Inquisitor that's pure evil, because he is pure evil. We know what happens to him all the way through. You know, he's bad. So that's a good, scary villain. So then your underling villain that gets a lot of camera time could theoretically have a change of heart and be killed or sacrifice themselves for said thing or whatever, and you still have big bad villain out there. So I don't know.
I know that George Lucas said a while ago that the big thing about Star Wars is that everybody has the choice to make the right decisions. I just feel like we keep seeing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's like, okay, it's unique the first time. Oh, they did a different kind of take, but it's still the same the second time. And it's like, how many times are we going to see the bad person be like, you know what? Like a Hux, you know? Like that was like, come on. Like, I just want Hux to be Hux.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a
Deborah
weird way,
Chow
though,
and-
I still kind of feel like that was like the saving Hux is Hux a little bit.
I mean, I guess because you're seeing him in like
Because
conniving type.
I don't care. I just want him to lose. Like that's like he just literally doesn't matter what happens to him or the Resistance or anything about all these people and all these like planets that are getting blown up. He just wants that guy to fail. Like, and I think that's just sniveling Hux, and
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I totally understand, because I think that was the vibe with Hux, is people were like, oh my gosh, like I'm the spy. You know, it's like just roll your eyes and walk out of this movie. I think is also some people felt.
Hux became more obsessed with Kylo Ren than his actual like mission.
His ambition.
Whereas in the first movie, he's so crazy and evil that you're like, you can't take your eyes off of him when he's giving that speech. So then for him to turn around and become like this, I don't know.
I think about that speech all the time, and I can only remember certain words, and one of them is acquiesce.
Yes.
Acquiesces to disorder.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, bow down to the fast. Oh, it's so good.
All right. Are we all through Will of the Force? We gave our opinions, and are we ready to move on to the discussion?
Yep.
All right. Take it away, John.
All right, is Mace Windu alive or dead?
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
So for years, Samuel L. Jackson has campaigned that Mace Windu could have survived his amputation, lightning blast, and massive fall in Revenge of the Sith, hoping for a return to Star Wars. He once again brought it up, even name-dropping Bryce Dallas Howard to try and make it work. So what's the deal? Is Mace Windu alive? Is he dead? Should he stay dead? Or should another dead Star Wars character return from the canon grave, like Boba Fett, so to speak? And it should, off the top, I'll say that there is an interview that's been circling around about George Lucas saying, like, years ago, he thought Mace Windu might have survived and stuff, and Mace Windu has been a character around in George Lucas's mind much longer than the prequels. Even in his first draft of the Star Wars, The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, one of the main characters was Mace Windu.
Mace Windy.
Windy, yeah, and it wasn't the same iteration or what have you, but as he changed that story, that character's name and thoughts about it were shelved for a little while. But I'm going to start point blank just by saying, just for the sake of the story, this to me, and I know a lot of people are on the fence on this, so this is going to be like one of those things where people take a stance on it, I think, but this is a little jump the shark to me if they were to bring back Mace Windu. It just feels a little like, oh, something that's too much. The Boba Fett thing, I get, and that worked. Mace Windu died, man. Like, Anakin cut him down. He got Force lightning blast, like thousands of feet falling to his death, and I just, in the story he killed him, and that was like, what put them over the top for Palpatine and Anakin. If he lives, like, where does he fit into the story other than it being fan service to bring him back? I just don't see where Mace Windu comes back, and it's like, well, where's he been then too? Like, it also takes away from the importance of Obi-Wan. Like, we keep adding all these Jedi in when he was supposed to be the last one around. It starts messing things up, and it's a retcon through and through if they do it. And I just don't like the idea of retelling or having to reshape how we assess the original trilogy and the story of Obi-Wan and the story of other Jedi if we keep bringing these people back and saying, like, oh, well, then there were these other Jedi, like Cal Kestis. It's like, yeah, so he was around. All right. Kanan Jarrus was around too. Okay. And then you start adding, all these Jedi, and all of a sudden it's not so much, Luke, the less of the Jedi will you be. It's like the last you'll be that are around right now until we retcon these stories. So it's just messy to me, and I think it's important that moment happened as it did in Revenge of the Sith, with Anakin falling to his knees saying, "What have I done?" Just like completely realizing that he gave himself to his obsession to save Padme, that he killed one of his heroes, one of his mentors, one of his masters, with Palpatine. Mm-hmm. So for him to come back, like, it hurts the character of Vader to me. It hurts Anakin. It hurts the story. It hurts how we view the Jedi being sort of gone in the original trilogy era. For me, it's just like, not like the fan service, and as cool as it would be to see him back, Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, and as much as he wants it, it's not worth what it would do to the story, in my opinion. And then they would have to de-age him too, and all that. So it's a big no for me. Maybe I'll be convinced. It sounds like James is on the other side of it. So I don't know who wants to take it, because I talked for a little bit here, but those are my initial going into this thing.
Go ahead, James.
I'd rather hear your thoughts. Do you have any initial?
My initial thoughts on this are very similar to John's, in that I feel like we're getting into the territory of bringing back all these characters is great as a fan, because you're like, oh, I love all these people. I'm so excited to see them back. And oh, that's such a cool idea for this story. But it takes away the emphasis on why they left the story to begin with. So Boba Fett, I guess, is one that doesn't fall into this. I could see why they brought him back, and his story was so great and well told. But I understand why people are frustrated to see characters coming back, whether it be Luke Skywalker or other characters, where they're like, why do we need these returns of certain characters? Why can't we continue on with new stuff? I think with this character in particular, I think it's a combination of the character, but also the actor that people want to see back in Star Wars. I think Samuel L. Jackson is the person people want to see. He's a cool guy. He's funny. He's a great actor. I think people want to see him back in Star Wars more than his character. And I think that's what's driving people's want to have him come back. That being said, I agree with John that him dying is what... He was the one that was suspicious the whole time. He's the one that kind of was butting heads with Anakin, but then ultimately believed in Anakin and went to help him. And then he's the one that dies. His death is the moment that Anakin's like, I'm bad now. So if he comes back, then you lose that whole momentum of the story of, well, then what pushed him over if he didn't die? And why did Mace not come back to help Yoda, so that Yoda had to go into hiding? Why didn't Mace come back to help Obi-Wan? Like, why? There's just a lot of why, because I feel like it gets to a point where it gets into the realm of like a fan fiction story, which I'm not saying that fan fiction is bad. I'm just saying that people tend to write what they want to see or what they want to see come from characters. And to me, the story of him coming back is like something that like a fan will be like, I really love this character, I want to bring him back. I don't know how they would work that into the story as is, because again, it would take away from that moment, which is such a serious emotional moment for Anakin, for Mace Windu as well, as well as the Emperor. He overpowered everybody and then destroyed everything. So you're going to tell me the guy that ultimately was the turning point for Palpatine is fine? I don't know. It's just a little weird for me. But I get why people want it, because he is a cool character.
Yeah. I mean, John said he thinks I'm leaning the one way, and I think I do still tend to lean with you guys in the sense of, like, I understand the aspect of, you know, what is the point of him dying? Or, you know, like we have him dying, and if we bring him back, then what was the point? And it loses its emphasis and stuff.
Right.
I think sometimes when I think about it, though, I usually am looking at it like devil's advocate in the sense of like, well,
yeah,
you know, how would it be if they did bring him back? And I was like, well, you know, people would say you keep killing off characters and bringing them back. And I was like, okay, well, how often do they do that? How often does Star Wars do that really? And I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I mean, there's always like your Max Rebo or whatever, but like I'm not counting those. I'm thinking like big picture, Palpatine, Darth Maul, and one other one. Boba Fett. Yep. And I was like, I can't think of any other time that they've ever done it.
That's a lot, man.
I don't think it is. Think about how many Star Wars characters they are.
And
there are. And
do we count Force Ghosts too?
No. Nope.
I do.
I absolutely do not. Because that's part of the story, is them being able to do that.
I know, but it's like, because that exists, it makes it less of an incentive to do it for other characters.
For anybody that has been a long time listener, I said that a long time ago. I said I don't like the idea of Force Ghost because it puts us in this position later down the line that you're like bringing people back, and why weren't they involved? And you know, it always raises these weird questions and stuff. I'm like, I like Force Ghost, but I almost wish they weren't a part of Star Wars, so that it wasn't just that we didn't have this like thing looming over.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think like a little bit, just real quick to get back to your point, if Force Ghosts were just voices and we never saw these like apparitions sitting on logs and stuff,
Which I think the death thing to me, James, like you listing it out just there, sounds like a soap opera. Like when the actor comes back for a soap opera and they're like, he died, and it's like, he actually didn't die. Dun, dun, dun. It's actually fair, this.
George Lucas did refer to his Star Wars as a soap opera.
I know, and I know that. But I'm saying, like, I'm thinking the most ridiculous storylines in a soap opera. Like, you know, my mom used to watch Days of Our Lives growing up. Like, these ridiculous storylines where someone would, like, drive off a bridge, the car would blow up, like, they'd be done, and then all of a sudden they'd walk into the restaurant 2 months later and they'd be like, oh, how is he here? Like, to me, when you get these characters, like, and you have one come back, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then to see it continually happen, you're just kind of like, okay, well, when I add it up like that, like, that's a lot.
I hear you, but my argument is that when you say when it keeps happening, and I'm like, it's happened 3 times in like 40 something years, you know, like
that's true.
Only a few times, and in a lot of cases, like Maul, for instance, like, and actually technically Boba Fett too, like Boba Fett's live action, but it's like it wasn't them bringing back to a movie or something. Like Maul survived in the cartoon era, and it didn't take away from the movies because the movies were still their thing, and they could play in that world if they wanted, but they knew most people probably weren't going to pay too much close attention to it. Maul has become a fan favorite and has had many stories, so now it feels like when you watch the movie, you're like, wow, it's weird that they like killed him, and I guess they brought him back to life,
right?
You know?
Right. They weren't planning on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one to me feels a little bit strange, but it's almost like I think when George was doing it, he was doing it on a like, I still like this character. I kind of wish that wasn't the story. You know, I still want to play with him, so let's bring him back. And I think he had a lot of fun with it. And then the Boba one too is like, I don't know. I don't think anybody like. I don't want to say this, but like, I'm not really entirely positive anybody really thought he was dead. It was just always one of those things where it's like,
I did.
No,
not to make you feel bad. I think a lot of people wanted him not to be dead. I think I thought he was dead.
And I'm saying because of
the general
Legends.
fan, he died. To the general fan, he died.
No, I'm saying to the general fan, most people know like, oh, I only watch the movies, but they brought him back, right? In like the books or whatever. I think most people were aware of the fact that Boba Fett was like, he went into the Sarlacc pit, but as the books and stories and other things and it lived on, I think people were aware of Maul coming back too, just even though they didn't watch the Clone Wars. Like I think you could go up to the casual fan and be like, is Maul dead? They'd be like, I think he died in the movie, but they brought him back. He's been around for a while.
I had friends who were like so confused about that. They're like, wait, this takes place before the Phantom Menace? How? Yeah, and they're like, legit. Like,
Matt loves Maul, and he didn't know that was Maul in Solo.
But here's the thing, James. You said 45
but
years.
I wasn't a big
Star
Wars fan, and I was very well aware that like Maul was back in the Clone Wars. I wasn't.
They've
even
done this
watching
all
the Clone
recently,
Wars.
though, James. Don't forget. This is all these 3 big character returns happened in the last 10 years. Maul was 2012. Palpatine was 2019.
Maul was in
Boba Fett was
2012.
Clone Wars season 4, I think. Right?
Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012.
But yeah,
Clone
but
Wars
Clone
season
was
4
happening.
would have been like 2009 or 10.
Clone Wars came out in 2008.
That's what I'm saying. So like
James, they played season, I think,
Either way.
3 trailer at 2015 Celebration.
what?
How many seasons
No.
of Rebels are there?
No,
No.
we're talking about Clone Wars.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Well, anyway, I mean, look, that's a hard fact. Like we could go find that out. But I think your point is relevant too. That it's like whether it's been the last 10 years or not, it's been like almost seems like Disney has been doing this more than anybody else. Yes, Maul did it. That was still under Lucas or whatever, but it was animation, whatever.
That was his idea.
And it's like since Disney brought it in, they've made Maul bigger with Rebels. They brought back Boba. They brought back Palpatine. So it feels a little like Disney-esque. And I do get that. Anyway, all that to be said, like I'm just, it's one of my slight arguments is like people say this happens all the time in Star Wars. And I'm like, it's happened 3 times. Like, let's relax on how often this happens. And most of the case too, it's like with a character that doesn't particularly matter. Like they could have Boba Fett doing adventures over here and it doesn't really like massively affect the story or anything.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to add to, and I don't really know how this fits in because clearly he would be dead by this point, but he has lines in The Rise of Skywalker. And that shows to me that he wasn't like a character who, while he was alive, was like sometimes how you see fan art of him, like where he's like mad and angry and like I've turned, I've changed, I've went to the dark side or something like that. Because that character is good by the end of Rise of Skywalker. So
Who?
I'd imagine if Mace is alive, he would still be a good Jedi.
Who you saying still good?
Mace.
So a lot of fan art, people think that Mace Windu comes back and becomes like this angry guy.
yeah,
that,
like he
is
like
looking
old
for
Samuel L.
revenge.
Jackson, and he wants to get these snakes off the plane, and he's like an angry Jedi kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he, in some cases, turned to the dark side because people even. And this is a weird theory to me too. He's got the purple lightsaber, and people still land on the like he got the purple one because it's a balance between blue and red, and he's toying
He
with
got
the
purple
dark
because
side.
he asked for purple.
I know that, but but the canon reason people try to make up.
And also,
I've always said I don't think he's toying with the dark side like at all. Like he's the
No.
head of the Jedi Council, totally good Jedi.
yeah,
So I don't.
He was the
I
one like
never
saying like,
bought
"Don't
that.
train this kid. He's a punk."
Yes. Yeah. And when you look back at it, you're like, man, Mace, he really doesn't like that Anakin kid. He was right.
Yeah, he was right the whole time.
You know what I mean? The whole freaking time. I don't trust him. I think he's got a bad attitude. I don't like any of this. Like,
That would have been funny. Like when Anakin cuts off his arm, he's like, "I freaking told you."
I
As
knew
he's-
it.
yeah.
The whole scene stops. It's just, come on, man. Like, I knew this.
Yeah.
That'd be a good like robot chicken if they haven't done that yet.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like, so I've never thought of Mace as a character who is balancing on the dark side, but I think some fans think that. And then in turn, when they're like, oh, how could we bring this character back and what would he look like? Most of the time, I feel like the vibe on that is that he's got like a beard and like he's like got the dark hood up and it's like this cool Samuel L. Jackson looking Mace Windu character. And perhaps he's even a little on the dark side and he's got a robotic arm and crazy stuff. But I'm like... But he's good by the end of Revenge or Rise of Skywalker, at least, you know.
His lightsaber's gone as far as we know because he cut off his arm that had the lightsaber and that went out the window or whatever. And then he got shot out like a mile, you know.
I would very much believe that Palpatine would make a call that says, go down there,
confirm he's dead.
You would not only that, but like retrieve that lightsaber, and then that was one of the lightsabers that got burned, like they did in the comics or whatever.
And also, you got to figure on those types of Order 66 things. There's sort of the, you know, like in The Fugitive, the wanted list. Like, here's your top guys. You know, like Al Qaeda. Here's the 10 guys, and it's like kill those guys. These troopers are everywhere. Hundreds of thousands of them. You don't think they're going to see like a crippled, like hurt up Mace Windu and be like, oh, that's that guy. Blang. Goodbye.
Right.
Like no one was waiting outside of the building like, oh, there's Mace. I'm going to go pick him up. Like Bail Organa. You know what I'm saying? Like he hit a building or something, fell down on the ground. Like, who knows, like, what actually happened to his death? Maybe that'll happen in a comic if they make a final decision on it. But it's like, there's so many... That's the thing. There's so many things that would have to happen that are even more hard to believe than Star Wars itself. And if the first reason to bring him back is, oh, man, it'd be so great because I love Samuel L. Jackson, it's not worth doing it. To me... I don't know why I feel this way.
It's such a weird argument because that's what I've been saying about Kenobi for a long time.
Yeah. Well, you were saying that until the Inquisitors came into the picture, and you were like,
oh,
okay.
I think you're going to change your mind once you see this series.
Okay. Very similar situation here. Like, here's the thing. If they did this and they said, Mace Windu's back, he's getting a series, Disney Plus, look forward to it, he didn't die, he's back, I'm for that. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm probably going to watch this and enjoy this. I think most of us would be in the same way that I feel about the Kenobi series. I'm like, I don't think it's necessary and I'm not really sure why you're doing this. And it feels like the only reason you're doing this is to just say, he's here, he's available, let's bring him back kind of thing. But when I see it, I'm like, I know they're going to figure out the story. I know they're going to make it work. It's not going to be handheld like poorly. I get all that,
but what part of the timeline are you going to place Windu?
I would put him as the age he is now, probably.
And who's going to face Windu?
What do you mean, who's going to face Windu?
What would be the reason he'd show up, I guess, is my question.
I don't know. Maybe I'd hire Joby Harold to write it for me.
What a cop-out, James.
Well, I'm saying, like, I like you're saying, like, what would the story be? I'm like, do you want me to write the story right now spontaneously of what I think we could do with it? Or would Lucasfilm probably get, like, the Empire 6 people to write it
and try to trace Windu?
I know what you're saying, James. I'm saying, like, I don't know. I fall in this a lot of logic of, like, okay, why would this character be here? And rarely have I been that surprised that I'm like, oh, yes, I didn't even... Oh, okay. It's usually like some type of common sense of why a character would show back up.
And let's say he shows up and it's a minor, like, cameo or something. Like, we get base Windu. Just your basic version.
How long have you been holding on to that?
I just dropped 4 of them, and you guys didn't see any of them.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to think.
No, but legit, like I don't know why I feel this way, but because they brought back other characters. And James, you're right. Like Boba Fett, maybe a lot of people didn't think he was dead. For some reason, this Mace Windu thing feels like it'd be jumping the shark for Star Wars, and people would be like, "That's ridiculous." Like, I'm not like diehard fans who want Mace Windu back, and they've seen all these crazy things happen in Star Wars. Maybe like, all right, but like you're a general Star Wars fan who's like, man, remember Samuel Jackson? How good he was in the prequels. He had that big death scene. He was killed by the Emperor, and we remember him saying like, I don't want to go out like a punk, George. I want to go out like a hero, and he did. And then they're like, wait, he's back now? Like people are gonna be like, what? You got to be kidding me! And what's the purpose? Like, where is he serving a story? If, as we all agree, he is still on the light side, because James, you made a wonderful, perfect point that his voice shows up at the end to Rey. He's still very much Jedi, learned how to become one with the Force, obviously before he had died from Yoda, or at least sort of figured it out.
Yeah, I'm not entirely positive on that, because there's a lot of other Jedi in there that like wouldn't make any sense as how they would have learned that technique. I think Rey just taps into like
the cosmos.
The craziness of it or whatever. She's been like Leia knew how to do it, and so she's teaching her how to like go beyond what maybe we've seen before. So she's able to tap into that world, and those people are probably waking up and being like, "Oh, I'm here. I'm existing. I remember myself." Yes, Rey.
I feel like it's the like having the reservation to not do something. It's really important. And I think Lucasfilm is good at that. And the people they bring in to make this stuff are usually pretty good at that. Like, just knowing, like, yeah, it would be so cool if Samuel L. Jackson showed up at a panel at Celebration and we found out that he did come back and he's got a mech-no arm and he's going to go help these people here and it'll explain why he wasn't here then. Fans will erupt and they'll be like, oh my God, Samuel L. Jackson's back, and he'll be hyped and be awesome. But, again, like, it's as cool as that would be, I think it would do more hurt or harm to the story, and again, most importantly, to Anakin's complete turn to the dark side, because that was such a big moment, and like you see this kid crumble to the ground, literally saying, "What have I done?" If we erase that, like, granted, yeah, people could say like, "Well, Anakin still thinks he killed him,"
yeah,
but still, we know he didn't. The tragedy of it needs to hold, I think.
I also think that, going back to what you said earlier, John, which I totally agree with, and I thought as well, is when you watch the original trilogy, they make it pretty clear that there's no one left. That Luke is a new hope. Like,
the last of the Jedi will you be, yeah.
Right. And of course they make mention of his sister in the last movie, which, as we know, wasn't planned from the start, but I feel like as we've gotten all these other stories, it's wonderful and great, but then it gets to the point that you're like, where is this now taking away from the original trilogy? Away from the importance of Luke Skywalker
they have to get tricky.
And Anakin's story. Yeah, it's a lot, because like the thing that makes it so... Yeah, the thing that makes it so kind of interesting, or the thing that I connected with a lot when I was little, is that he was the only one that could do it. He's the only one that could... Like, there was no one else there to help him. And now we're kind of in this territory, which I love, but it's still a little confusing of, okay, so, well, he had Ahsoka. Ahsoka helped him a little bit. Oh, okay, this person helped him a little bit. So then he's not exactly alone. But it's like, okay, but then he still kind of is, and then he ends up being alone. It's just, with Mace Windu coming back, it takes away from the story. I think it just takes away from multiple points in the story.
And why wouldn't have Mace Windu connected with Yoda? They were like, he was his right-hand guy, and Yoda's sitting there saying like, there's no Jedi left, that's why we got to watch out for this kid, because he has to be the future, and this whole thing on Dagobah happens, Mace Windu's not around, like, all these things you'd have to try to convince people of. And then, like, look at like you brought the Ahsoka example is perfect. They had to make her leave the Jedi Order so that what Yoda said to Luke was true. The last of the Jedi will you be, because she's not technically a Jedi anymore. Like, all these tricky things they have to do just because they're adding new characters into a timeline in which they didn't exist when those stories were told.
Yeah, you have to kill off Kanan. You have to send Ezra to the beyond.
Exactly. That's why when we were talking about, when we were speculating on the end of Rebels, we're like, they all have to die, remember? We were like, they have to, or else it doesn't make sense. And instead, they put Ezra on a a squiggly whale and send him who knows where. We're gonna go find out now in like a year. And I'm excited about it, but I'm saying like they have to create these things in order to make these characters who are Jedi exist without damaging the canon and storytelling of the original trilogy.
And more important than any of that, for me at least,
This is so nerdy. I love it.
with Mace Windu specifically, is that it takes away from his story. Forget what I said about Luke and everybody else. He's a great character and he died in an epic way. Is it tragic? Yes. But that's part of Star Wars, is like these characters we love either, hit hardships or challenges or they die in a terrible way because it matters more to the story if they die that way. So when you bring him back, you're taking away from his story as well, which he was a part of, which he chose.
Yeah. To be fair, too, it wasn't wasted opportunity.
Absolutely.
Like, people look at Maul and they go, man, that guy should have been the villain for all three of them. Like, Mace Windu was in all three of them. He was there from the beginning. He was in the second one. He died in the third one. It's like that was a full trilogy character. He got all of his arcs and all of his points, and like he was totally
Cool
there.
moments,
I think the person fighting the most for his return is Samuel L. Jackson, more so than even fans. But
Dat paycheck.
I think there really is something to like that argument that you guys brought up about. Why wouldn't he connect with Obi-Wan? Why wouldn't he connect with Yoda? Well, I think fans write that off as, well, because he's bad. He went bad. He doesn't want to talk to him.
Which is just, how do you talk about destroying a character? Like,
well, yeah. And my thought on that is that's the best explanation I feel like we can come up with to make it fit in the canon.
oh,
And that's fans are doing that. But that's already kind of ruled out in canon as well, because we know he's good. And I know that Rise of Skywalker just came out like somewhat recently, and fans have been speculating about Mace Windu surviving for 20 plus years, about 20 years. But my thing is like, I think that's almost like an in-canon version of like, well, he never went to the dark side, or like, again, what we were talking about earlier, do we want to see a character like
he went to the dark side.
he was good,
Then he died, and then he becomes a Force ghost.
yeah, yeah. Just it would be kind of nuts. I think like at the end
Just
of the
so
day,
Samuel Jackson could buy another house.
I think at the end of the day, someone's gonna be like, Sam, buddy, we would love to have you back in Star Wars. It doesn't make sense, but here's the thing: we'll compromise. We think we could write you in as a Force ghost. Would you show up as a Force ghost? And he might do it. And then there you go. That's how you bring Sam Jackson back in.
Yeah.
And they can somehow explain that or whatever. And we'd be like, man, it's so great to have him back and talking about Star Wars and promoting Star Wars. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think they're
Bryce
gonna bring him
Dallas
back.
Howard quote tweeting it with the freaking eyeballs, and that drives people
yeah.
up.
I mean, because he called her out. He said,
I know, but she
very
shouldn't have-
specifically name dropped her.
Unless
and was
she's
saying,
doing
like, we're
something with
friends.
it. Yeah, that's.
I think she was just kind of like, when I rewatched it a couple times, it was just kind of like the cheeky, like, well, what do we have here type thing.
Oh yeah, but you know how Twitter is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. And then you have Delilah Dawson, who's like, I think Phasma's still alive because she wants to write a book, and I get it, man. But it's just, whew. People
Dead or alive.
Yeah, you got people
Did you
who
guys
want
think
who think
Phasma was
Tally
dead?
Lintra's not dead, and wait, huh?
Did you think Phasma was dead in Force Awakens?
Phasma's dead.
No.
No.
John, I knew you were going to go there. John, did you think she was dead in Force Awakens?
No.
You figured she was still alive and
Because
she
it's
survived?
trash compactor.
Well, yeah, trash compactor.
I thought because of A New
I don't
Hope, they
get
get
that
out
at
of
all.
the trash compactor. She got out. That's what I figured.
I think that's just the same as like someone, falling out the window or something. I think the idea there is you presume that they threw her in a trash compactor.
Yeah, but you don't
and
see
the
her
planet blew
fall
up.
into the. But you don't see her fall into the trash compactor. Whereas with Mace Windu, you see him lose his arm and then get blown out of a window that's very high up with lightning.
While being electrocuted, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm saying it's a character that died off screen, and yet I
think
think
they should have done the Snoke face. They should have shown Mace Windu with his tongue out, like,
yeah.
That made me laugh, and I'll never forget how hard I laughed when I saw that, because it was just like a very like blatant cut to it, like he's dead.
Ryan Johnson saying, "I'm making sure you guys all know this guy is dead."
Dead.
Now there's going to be 50 more of them in a tube in the next movie, but this one, he's dead.
Dead. Dead or alive.
So James, you seem a little, I don't know, like you're not sold or something. Like you feel like
James likes to argue the other side, which I appreciate. And he will stick by with that other side. He started this conversation saying, I agree with you, but I'm going to argue the other side for
Are you
the
arguing
funsies.
just for the sake of the argument? To like, or do you feel that there is an opening here or like a precedent that
I think you can't have an opinion unless you've thought out all of the angles.
Sure, I agree.
So I think if I came in here and I said I totally agree with what you guys are saying, because it would be so stupid, right? I feel like there's a lot of people who are probably listening to
we
this
didn't
saying
say
like,
stupid.
No, I know, but
think so.
I'm saying, do you say thank you, Lacey?
What?
Oh, never mind. I think a lot of people listening to this would probably be like, you guys didn't even consider this possibility. And it's like, I feel like we need to talk through all those angles to
What
fully
possibility didn't we
understand. No,
He's just saying people might have other like, hey,
if
did you think
I
of this?
came
Did you
in and
think
was
of that?
like, yeah, you guys are totally right, and we didn't consider this or this or this, then they would probably, I don't know. Like, I feel like everybody, you need to hear all the angles to understand all the angles.
I agree.
And I
was just actually poking fun. I wasn't actually saying you're doing something wrong.
I think we did cover all the angles.
Because of me. That's what I'm saying.
I disagree with that. I think I brought
Your
up the
question is, are you arguing for the sake of arguing?
fact.
Right? And I'm saying I think it's important to look at all the angles. That's why I am presenting all of the angles.
Are you acting like I came into this conversation with a caveman point of view? I think I made some really good points to explain why there aren't angles.
Yeah.
You didn't come in here like, let me teach the class on how to assess, come on, man.
You're asking me. You're asking me.
I came in with
where
the
are you at on
philosophical
this?
point of view, and you were like, this is bad, blah, blah, blah. That's not what happened at all.
So should all three of us? Yeah. Should all three of us have been like, nah, he's not coming back?
I think I said, nah, he's not coming back, but I think over the last 40 minutes, I gave I would like to think, insightful
I think you both gave
reasons.
wonderful points of view. I appreciate James talking through multiple angles that I might disagree with, just because then I can disagree with them.
Yeah.
James gets so defensive, and then he
Dead or alive.
this and it wasn't a Star Wars war, but I feel like
we
James
haven't done
wanted
those
to.
in a while.
I feel like
those
James
get
wanted to have a
nasty,
little
though.
bit one. Yeah.
I don't like the Star Wars wars. Add it to my list.
I pitched a new version of Star Wars War a long time ago.
Yeah, you want to do it like they do. Yeah.
I think it's a smart idea, but anyway.
Well, let us know in the comments what you think of
Yeah.
Mace Windu. Is he dead or alive? What is your theory? We want to know in the comments, as well as on Twitter or Instagram. Let us know. Tweet at us. We'll retweet some of the cooler ones or favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Right, John?
That's probably what I would have said. Yeah.
Now I just want to listen to Bon Jovi.
Yeah. But
Oh, man.
do you think Bon Jovi's alive?
What?
Was he
I
still
know
alive?
he uses Duracell because when you've got all these people to play in front of, the only battery he trusts.
You're an idiot. Does it do the locking thing? The doom doom doom.
Yeah.
It locks. I love how Duracell went from if you're a doctor and you need a flashlight in a hurricane, which battery are you going to choose to?
Yeah.
Well, Bon Jovi needs a microphone.
Yep.
I think Duracell's headquarters is
Where I live.
yeah, it is. That's interesting. I wonder if Bon Jovi's
Great, now
there.
people know where I live.
Bon Jovi, come on the podcast. Talk
John.
about how you can't sing anymore. All right, here's the deal. That's it. So we're gonna send it to Lacey for resistance transmissions.
Thanks, John. Guys, it's time for resistance transmissions. So this is the segment where every other week, every once in a while, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation on Twitter, and you guys give your answers. So this past week, we asked you, there are going to be a lot of new cosplay options added into the mix this hashtag Star Wars Celebration. Which ones are you hoping to see? Before I get into these ones, do you guys have any preferences of ones you're going to look to see?
I think it would be amazing if some brave and inventive go-getter did the thing where your legs are one thing and your upper body is something else.
If you say jacked fish, I'm gonna lose it.
I'm doing jacked fish.
Okay.
I already have the arms for it, so now I just need to figure out. You know, like it took you like 0 seconds to laugh at that. I think.
Oh, jeez.
Boba Fett riding a Rancor would be insane. Where their feet are the Rancor's
Oh,
feet.
yeah, like
and
someone
then
did
they're-
with the Mandalorian where he's riding the blurg. Yeah.
Or the Tauntaun. Yeah. That
Or-
would be.
Like Lewis does in Even Stevens when he's a penguin jockey.
Yeah.
James?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I guess one that would be interesting was we didn't really have Mandalorian cosplay at the time, so
We didn't. We had one guy, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna see Mandalorian, but you're probably going to see a lot of like Grogu side companions to that character that went full out with the costume, where they're like, I'm not doing the costume unless I've got Grogu with me. So I'm interested to see if there's some good versions of that. Like, there's going to be lame ones. Not lame, but you know what I mean? Like, somebody just brings the stuffed animal or, like, this toy that I've got, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's going to be people that just have that. But I would be really curious to see if somebody went the extra mile to try to create something that, like, looks and feel and moves to some degree more so than, like, any toy that has been released.
Yeah. I always like the mashup ones that people have, you know, like
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
like Hip Hop Trooper and stuff. They're always just like super cool. I really want to do Rey, but I don't know if it's going to happen because I got to bring all the stuff cross country. I'm going across the whole country with it. It's a lot.
Or just like punny cosplays like Han Frollo or something like that.
What's a Frollo?
Like he's got like a giant afro,
Afro.
like Disco Han
Oh.
or something.
That's like that
it's
video
just like
game
a pun.
where he's the dancing video game going solo.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, you guys said this. First up is Michael Hill soon at VA Flyers 81. He said, High Republic, Visions, all of it, honestly.
Oh, yeah,
I look
Visions.
forward to the cosplay competition the most. I didn't think of Visions. That's going to be awesome.
Visions.
I didn't know they did a contest.
Side
Oh, yeah.
note, yeah,
Big
they
contest.
do a big contest. Yeah. Side note, Visions, I really feel like came and went, and like people forget about it, and I feel like they made a big mistake doing all at once. I feel like they should have
It was
rolled
very
rolled them
fast,
out.
yeah.
Because I feel like everybody was like, we have to review all of them. And then we're running it down for like that week. And then it was so much content that we were like, let's not talk about Visions for a week. And then it was gone.
I had like 2 days to review them and watch them all. And it was insane.
I feel like it would almost be fun to go back and revisit Visions, like looking at it now, like a little bit time has passed.
Maybe
like,
revisions.
yeah.
Though I do think with Bad Batch, if they do full seasons, I think it might be based on their content releases and how much more the stuff they're putting out to do like series 1 and put out 8 episodes, and then like the next week put out series 2, 8 episodes. Because like if they do like 20 episodes or whatever, Bad Batch, and release one every week with Kenobi, with Andor.
Exactly. And I don't know what's going on with Bad Batch, but I think Rebels used to release 2 episodes at a time, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Bad Batch would be better to do 2 episodes for 8 weeks rather than 1 episode every week for 16 weeks.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
Especially my opinions on the finale. Absolutely should have put those back to back. That was so stupid. And announcing season 2's coming like days before the actual season finale.
Bad move, yeah.
So stupid, but whatever.
Next up is Andrew Staley at Deuce_Staley. Hello, Andrew.
What's up,
he
buddy?
said Muddy Mando or Mando Luke. Ooh, I can't wait to see Mando Luke with
Mando
the Grogu.
Luke?
I'm sure we'll see that.
Oh, like the
with
Mandalorian version. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. Kendallorian at Galactic Curator. Hey, Kendall.
Hey, buddy.
Said maybe this guy.
Oh,
and it's
hey.
the calamari, Mon Calamari with the sweater and the dock worker guy that Frank, our buddy Frank, did.
Frank Ippolito, yeah.
I love that that's him, and his mannerisms are his mannerisms.
Well, if he goes to Celebration and you saw a great version of this, I wouldn't be shocked if it was Frank.
Frank,
Oh, yeah.
I really hope that if you're watching or listening, you wear this costume and just like give me a heads up so we can meet up so I can take a picture because I need it.
Yeah, we know. I mean, that's screen ready. He's got it. He owns it. It's there.
Oh, he showed us the mask and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So please wear it so I can see it in person. Let's hang out. All right. Next is Kevin Lewis at Thronzon Fan. What up, Kevin? Who said
Kevin.
Moff Gideon. I didn't even think about Moff Gideon. That'd be crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Capes are always good. Next is Rick Villanueva at Cad Bane's Bounty. What up, Rick? He said Megamind Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, I saw that. Someone did a Megamind face on the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, it's funny.
The big chin.
Yeah. And next is RMD Collective at RMD Collective, who said jeans guy. If you
gosh.
you know.
So was it just a guy in
laugh
jeans?
Jeans guy from The Mandalorian.
But would you have to like show up with like half your body covered by a wall?
You'd bring like a cardboard box painted like the wall, and you would just pose like with the wall. Someone's going to take that from me. You're welcome. Enjoy.
Or
I'm sure someone's already worked on that. Yeah.
Or you
True.
could just be the wall, and people are like, what are you? You're like, I'm jeans guy, after they edited me out.
Actually, that'd be funny if we just took a picture of a wall partition and we're like, look, it's jeans guy.
Yeah.
Just like
oh my
the
God, what a
background.
great cosplay. And then last but not least is David Taylor at I am David J. Taylor. What up, David?
Yes, you are, David. Yes, you are.
Who said dangling Palpatine from The Rise of Skywalker being pushed around the convention floor.
That would be... some people do these crazy, gigantic, big cosplays, and if we saw someone with some sort of weird forklift and that dangling... that'd
They
be
wouldn't
insane.
be able to drive a forklift.
I said something like a
safety.
forklift.
Oh
Like a
my
forklift.
gosh.
No, if the forklift is wearing a mask, it'd be all right.
Ridiculous. Guys, thank you so much for your answers. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on social at RBATSWNN on Twitter and at The Resistance Broadcast on Instagram. Thank you so much. We can't wait to see all the cool cosplay at Celebration. Back to you, John.
All right, so first I'm going to do something that I never do. I don't like doing, but I'm going to do it. I want to thank these two right here because doing this podcast has been awesome, and we're heading into an even more fun era and celebration and stuff. And the fact that, we're the podcast of Star Wars Newsstand, people probably think like, oh, they have all this like backing and producers and stuff. We have like podcasts that are a lot smaller than us talk about like they have like interns and stuff. It's the three of us. That's it. We just here, we work, we do our thing, and the two of you guys just work so hard. And so thanks to you guys for making this so cool and so fun, and I'm really excited to where we're headed.
You made me so nervous, my hands are sweating.
Right.
When you were like, I'm going to do something I don't like, James and Lacey, I was like, and my hands started.
That part was I was kidding, but
Oh my God, that's so nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, James and I are really good at planning. That's the other thing that John likes. I'm
That
like
is
an
true.
over planner for these guys, so they don't have to worry about a lot of stuff because I'm just
I
like
don't know
the
if
crazy.
James is the greatest planner either, if we're being
Well, I
completely
said
honest.
I'm an over planner. James
Yeah.
helped with tickets and hotel stuff. I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm an over planner. So by the time we arrive, we have like an itinerary. That is how I am. So luckily, I just do
less
it.
stressful. yeah.
If I know myself, I am a very good like idea planner. Like we should probably do this big picture kind of thing. But as soon as it's like comes down to like, well, how are we actually going to make that happen? Sometimes that's where I'm like, I don't know.
I'm an executor. I like to
yeah.
execute plans. John's the creative guy. He's got the ideas.
Yeah.
Ditto.
All right, but we do want to say other thank yous too, and we can't be doing what we're doing now, or what we have planned for this year because we're looking to do a lot more shows and hopefully expand and go to other conventions as they open up and stuff. So a big thank you to our patrons. James said at the top, you can join us for $2 a month at patreon.com/resistance broadcast. It changes everything for us because, like I said, it's just the three of us that are doing this. We have other day jobs, we have families. This is it. We put a lot of time into this and it means a lot to us, but it really would be quite unrealistic to keep doing what we're doing at the pace we're doing it and as we're trying to grow without our patrons. So thank you very much. Special thank you to our generals: Carmelo, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Darth Hurricane, I call him Darth Broccoli, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Danny, Mike Ramori, Matt Heath, Double C Chris White, and Val Trichkoff, and our Spice Runners, the spiciest: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, Micah Harrison, Thomas Hennessy, and Andrew Staley. Thank you all so much for your support, and all of our patrons in the base. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Make sure you're also going to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Subscribe to TRB on your favorite audio podcast app, and also, of course, YouTube.com/StarWarsNewsNet videos. We passed 7,500 not too long ago, and we have our eye on 8,000 subscribers. I know we're not the biggest Star Wars YouTube channel, but we're trying to grow, and we appreciate people checking us out there as well as your audio platforms. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, writing and editing at Star Wars Newsnet, and I have my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies, also available on your favorite audio podcast apps. And we recently did The Godfather on Tuesday if you want to check it out. Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran and find my preview / initial thoughts on the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga game on StarWarsNewsNet.com.
James.
You can find me on Twitter at Myra Trunks and on Instagram at Myra Trunks.
That's called consistency, folks. Yeah. All right, so we hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Hopefully the weather is nice as spring starts warming up, and we hope you're all well. And as always, we'll see you on Monday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.